So normally, okay, as someone who has some media training, okay, someone who's actually, I was a Vox Media employee for 6 years covering the Indianapolis Colts for the second largest website for the Indianapolis Colts, other than Colts.com, called Stampede Blue. So first of all, I just want to say, I have never in my life, I'm 41 years old, I've never been called a racist. Never. Not a single person's ever said that to or about me. In the last 48 hours, 3 large content creators, 2 that I'm aware of, third that I've heard, okay, have made content calling me a racist with zero evidence. I just want to point out that that's defamation. And I'm meeting with my lawyer tomorrow at noon. I have receipts. I would stop now. Throwing that out there, because I'm not about hate and division. And to build credibility, I'm going to tell you some stories. First of all, I want to tell you how familiar I am with people of color. My best friend on earth is a former MC and a black man from Brooklyn, New York. And my eyeballs, both of them, these orbital bones, have never been broken. I've never broken this nose right here. Never been broken. I promise you, of all of the people on earth, my best friend, a black man from Brooklyn, New York, who is pre-law and an MC at IU. Oh, honey, we only live like 15, 20 minutes apart. If it was really about that life, he'd come out here and black these eyes. Okay? Now, let's talk about family. My wife and I have first cousins that are black women. I have black in-laws. So do you see how close a family I have that are people of color? So I may be a milquetoast ass white boy, but I have like close family members that are people of color. And again, I would say, both orbital bones unbroken, nose unbroken. No, but let me explain this. My first year of coaching high school, or let me back up and go to semi-pro football. Let me tell you this little story, okay? So I started coaching semi-pro football, the Indiana Cutters out of Bloomington, Indiana. They're a defunct semi-pro football team, okay? Right after COVID, okay, I got the itch to coach football, okay? I was at first a quarterbacks coach and ultimately ended up the offensive coordinator and primary play caller, and we went 6-1 going into the playoffs. And I got COVID and couldn't be there for the playoffs, and I lost in the first round. I do feel like I would have been a difference in the outcome, actually. I'm a hell of a fucking play caller, okay? As evidenced by we were 7-0 and then lost in the playoffs. Sorry. I misspoke. I said we lost the game under my direction. We didn't. We were undefeated and lost the playoffs. So that team was playing their games at Martinsville High School in Martinsville, Indiana, which is a sundown town. And how do I know that? Because I went to Mooresville High School, which is rivals with Martinsville. And Martinsville is the county seat in Morgan County. It's a big city. It's a lot of people. I also used to sled on a hill in Martinsville that if you go far enough up the hill, you're going to hit the former Grand Master of the Ku Klux Klan. Lives up that hill. Okay? So I know where hate lives, just so you know. I know where that lives. And because when we had tryouts for the Indiana Cutters and 95% of the players were black, except for a handful of offensive linemen, I told the head coach that we shouldn't play in Martinsville. It's a big-ass sundown town, and I don't want anything to happen to these players leaving a football game. And you can check anyone from the Indiana Cutters, and you can even contact Eric Anderson himself, and you can contact anyone that was on the Indiana Cutters at that time. And I strongly advise the team not play their games in Martinsville, Indiana. If I was a racist, would I have cared about that and done that for that group of people? Also, we played our games in Danville, Indiana, which is also a sundown town, but it's about half the size. And I figured there was a lot lower odds of something happening to any of these kids. And for the record, we still had players after a home football game get chased out of town by the police. And then the next year, with the same group of players, I lost 75 pounds and came back and played with them. At 40 years old, I was 38 at the time. And again, both orbital bones are intact. My nose has never been broken. If I was a racist at 38 years old trying to play football, don't you think somebody hits me with a forearm shiver right in the fucking face? No, you just think they're like, oh yeah, he's a quarterback. We ain't going to hit him. Get the fuck out of here. Okay? Now, let's talk about my first year coaching high school football in the inner city, Indianapolis, Indiana at Purdue Polytechnic High School. Brand new high school football program. None of the kids that played for the team had ever played before. Every one of them black, including my head coach, Carlos Howard. On Facebook, his real name's Quasi Clark. He's the head coach now at Traders Point Christian School, where he intends to retire. He played safety at the Division I level for 4 years, and he's still an athlete. And again, I'd say if I was a racist, both orbital bones intact, and my fucking nose has never been broken. And I'm not one time told you I've ever fought any of these people. Think about that. If I'm such a racist, why is there zero evidence to support that? And why am I calling that defamation? Why am I building credibility? Why am I meeting with a lawyer tomorrow? That's what should be on your mind. If I was somebody attached to people talking about me behind my back and calling me a racist with zero evidence to support that, I have plenty to support that I am not a racist, including the fact that I quit my job and was at that high school 6 days a week at 6 a.m. trying to prepare those young black men for a game they were wholly unprepared for a school that didn't care about them, and the only people that did was the head coach and I. And I worked out with them boys and met with them boys for the entire school year, and helped the two seniors that didn't know what they were going to do after high school find an HBCU each to go to. One in North Carolina, one in Alabama. And again, I would say, if I'm a racist, would I bother? And again, I want to know. If you know me, actually know me, can you provide evidence of my racism? If you can, I would like you to show it to me. Because again, I believe I have a track record that speaks otherwise. So, since everybody wants to talk about me being a racist, let's talk about all the times I've been racist. Your move. Clock's ticking.